Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in another Fortnite video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Playground Warriors and exactly why I think that playing Playgrounds and winning 1v1s in Playgrounds really doesn't translate to wins at all. I think completely the opposite. And I'm going to give you guys my reasons for that. And before we get into the video, this is going to be the last chance to enter this giveaway. I'm going to be doing another giveaway very soon because I'm going to be launching up a different YouTube channel that I'm going to be promoting. And definitely a channel that I'd recommend you guys check out. I'm starting it up really soon. So for this giveaway, all you have to do is to drop a like on this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on my notifications, and leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And if you haven't already, make sure you guys add me on Snapchat. I'm going to be doing all of my announcements and winners on Snapchat. So make sure you guys add me on Snapchat. It is Young Humor YT. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about Playground Warriors and then what that is. For those of you guys who don't know what Playground Warriors are, it's basically a term for players who play a ton of playgrounds. They play hours of playgrounds pretty much every single day. They just play constant playgrounds, 1v1s and stuff like that. But in actual games, they get absolutely smacked on. They get destroyed in actual games, which is actually a pretty big contradiction to what a lot of people think, that just because you can build fast in this game, just because you can win a lot of 1v1s, it means you're going to be good at public matches, which is definitely not the case. I'm going to go into a lot of reasons why I believe that. For me personally, I really didn't even play too many 1v1s till I would say later in this season. Because normally I would just play like normal duos, and then Fortnite Mirrors came out, which is, I think it was so bad, it was so boring. So I was playing a lot of 1v1s during that time and just different stuff like that. So that's how I got into 1v1s more. And 1v1s are good for a lot of things, but at the same time they're also really bad, and they can create a lot of bad habits for other things. And in Playgrounds, it's always a constant fight for high ground. You're always trying to outbuild your opponent, try to get that high ground, just give yourself a good advantage to get a shot off. While this can be good for helping you improve at building, there's a lot of things in Playgrounds that you don't actually do in games. And the first thing I want to talk about is double 90s. Pretty much all of you guys who watch any sort of Playground videos or anything at all, double 90s are really hyped up. And double 90s are a really effective way to go for high ground. And something that pretty much, if you want to be good at Playgrounds, if you want to be good at 1v1s, you have to master double 90s. And I really didn't even do them until maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And as you guys can tell, from 2 to 3 weeks ago until now, I really hasn't had that much of a change. And I've done so much better double 90s. I have them almost perfect every time now. But to be honest, they really haven't had that much impact on my actual gameplay. Just being able to do 90s versus not being able to do 90s. And a few reasons for that is doing double 90s in games is pretty unrealistic. It's kind of flashy sometimes, and it is a very effective way to go for high ground in 1v1s. But in actual games, when you're doing double 90s, if someone's behind you and you go for a double 90, so when you're doing a double 90, you have to turn 90 degrees twice. And which means, so during both of those 90s, if someone already has the high ground on you and you go for a double 90, you're going to get lasered every single time. So it's really not effective. Really, pretty much the only time you want to do a double 90 was when someone's at the exact same height as you or maybe a little bit below you. If someone already has the high ground and you go for a double 90, while you can get up as fast as possible, it's the fastest way to get up, you also leave yourself very exposed and open to take a lot of shots. So if you're constantly doing double 90s up on someone who already has high ground, maybe like 1 or 2 above you, you're going to get lasered and knocked every single time. But I'm not saying don't use double 90s in game, because like with anything, there is situations where you definitely want to use it. But for the most part, doing double 90s in game really isn't the move, because every time you do a double 90, if you use the 4 panel, it's going to cost you 50 mats. So every time that you do a double 90, it's going to cost you 100 mats. And say you do that 3 times in your build fight, you already burned 300 mats, which is quite a bit of mats depending on which stage if you are in the game. And I mean, if you're in the late game, you got max mats, 300 mats wasted really isn't that big of a deal. But it really does burn through a ton of mats, and that's also another thing that's really important in Fortnite, is being able to conserve your mats enough so in that late game you do have enough mats, or even in the early game, because you don't want to burn through all your mats on one fight. And that's one thing that a lot of people that I've seen, like, Playground Warriors, people play a lot of 1v1s, because they're all constantly going for high ground, they're constantly building, and a lot of them are constantly overbuilding every single time. And when they're overbuilding, basically they're going more high, they're building more than necessary. And when you're building more than necessary, it also burns your mats. And a lot of times you see a lot of these players in game, they take a lot of fall damage because they're constantly getting knocked down, they're constantly getting sprayed. And trust me, in game versus in Playgrounds, you're going to be using your mats a lot different. I build way different in actual game than I would in Playgrounds, because in Playgrounds you have so many mats, it doesn't matter. You can waste 100 mats, 200 mats, and really that isn't that big of a deal. And with another thing in playgrounds is there's nothing to account for like repositioning or anything like that. So basically, you're just trying to fight for high ground and that's it. And that's the reason why I play playgrounds a little bit more. Because I just feel like in my game, I was lacking going for high ground. I really wasn't that good at it. So I've been playing a lot more 1v1s and different things like that. And I really do believe my building speed has greatly improved. And while I say my building speed greatly improved, that's the only thing and the only reason why I would play playgrounds. Because if you're using playgrounds and you actually do the things that you would do in playgrounds in actual game, you're gonna get smacked every single game, or you're gonna end up choking, you know, not having any mats, or just making bad decisions in general when maybe the best option isn't even to go for high ground, and it could actually be sitting on low ground. And that doesn't mean you want to sit on low ground every single time, but there is a lot of instances where going for high ground really isn't worth it. Because I know I've had a lot of fights where if I know I would keep going to the build fight with this guy, I was gonna burn through another 300, 400 plus mats just trying to fight this guy off of me. So being able to drop down, shoot them out, or just reposition yourself to have a better angle on them is definitely the move. It saved me a lot of mats, a lot of time, and I really do believe it has won me a lot more games. So the term playground warrior basically came from people who do a lot of double 90, do a lot of building. They're really fast builders, but in games they just don't seem to win a lot of games, and there's a lot of reasons for it. So another thing that I do see in playgrounds that really would cost you an actual game is when you're playing in playgrounds, you don't have to worry about fall damage. Most of the time when people play playgrounds like I do, I have fall damage off. And on top of that, there's glider redeploy, which is actually not in the game anymore. I wish it was, but it's not in the game anymore. And as well, you're typically not going to get shot out. Most people don't try to shoot at anybody unless, you know, they overbuild. They're clearly higher than you, then sometimes they'll shoot you out. But there's no consequences for it. You know, you're not going to take any fall damage. You're going to be able to catch yourself every single time. And when you're ramping up, and the other player clearly has an opportunity to shoot you out and knock you all the way down, there kind of is no point because you're in a 1v1 build fight, and there's no point just knocking them all the way down because then you have to follow them. But in actual games, this is something that you would want to do. And I notice a lot of players in actual games, what they keep doing constantly is once they have the high ground, they'll keep building up and up and up. They never really go for shots, and that's just another thing that I've seen a lot of players do. And I can just tell, honestly, when I'm in a game, I can tell when players have played way too many playgrounds and they don't even go for shots on me. They really just want to keep building and building and building. Like, I swear, they're like, their main objective is to see how many mats they can burn through in the quickest amount of time. Like, I'm not even kidding, guys. Like, these guys don't even go for shots, and I feel like it's just a thing in playgrounds where people just constantly go for builds and they just don't even want to have a gunfight, which makes absolutely no sense. You know, they're just wasting a ton of time in the gunfight. They're burning a ton of mats, they're burning health, they're burning shield. But it is just overall a not very smart way to play, and you're going to be losing a lot of games because of it. Another thing that I see from people who play playgrounds way too much is in actual games, they really only go for those flashy plays, you know, those build fights, you know, those edit plays. And a lot of times they're going for edit plays which aren't even smart at all, because they go for an edit play which clearly is a bad idea. They get trap killed, they get sprayed, you know, they're going for things when they have no health. Just overall bad decisions. They'll keep doing it in game and they wonder why they keep losing. And a lot of times, a lot of players are just going for way too flashy plays. A lot of people in playgrounds typically like to have a higher sensitivity so they can build a little bit quicker. And for me, I mean, not everyone plays like that, but a lot of people do have a higher sensitivity and they go for those like crazy flick shots or whatever. But when you go for the flick shots, a lot of times you're not even going to hit for any pellets. And they did increase the minimum damage to about 30, so you're not going to get screwed over too bad in that scenario. But at the same time, hitting for 80 to 100 plus is definitely a better way to play. So if you want to be hitting for more damage with your shotgun, you can't be going for flick shots every single time. And flick shots really are kind of flashy. And I think flick shots, the best thing to do is when they're on PC, because you have a lot more control over your sensitivity and just different things like that on PC. But on Xbox, on your controller, on PS4, whatever you play on, if you want to go for flick shots, you really have to raise your sensitivity. And when you raise your sensitivity, in my opinion, the worse your accuracy is going to get. But of course, there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me on that. But I would say, to speak for the majority of players, the people who have the worst accuracy have those higher sensitivities. Because you're not going to be spraying out, because a lot of people, they're missing a lot of shots because they're spraying too much, or they're just panicking or not able to control their sensitivity. And if you're panicking a lot and you feel like you're missing a lot of shots, just try to lower your sensitivity a little bit. I guarantee you're probably going to be hitting more shots, because if you're panicking and you have a lower sensitivity, you're not going to be jerking it back and forth way too much and missing all of your shots. But anyways, guys, that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys like this video. If you guys could, make sure to drop a like on this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Turn on my notifications to be notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I will see you in the next video.